Molt bona tarda, buenas tardes, good afternoon. This is Sónar+D and we are transmitting live from the Center for Contemporary Culture in Barcelona. And now we are going to connect our city, Barcelona, with other cities in Europe. And these cities are part of a European network of festivals that collaborate together. This framework for collaboration is called We Are Europe. And then with further ado, I think that I'm going to introduce first the topic. It's a moment in history when we are scaling down a little bit, and when we scale down and we start to look like what's closer around us, I think that it's time to put the magnifying glass over the cultural fabric of our cities, our neighborhoods, to give value to what is hyperlocal. Because hyperlocal is what makes the essence of every city. So we decided that to get to know hyperlocal in Thessaloniki, in The Hague, in Krakow, and in Barcelona, the best way was to meet the cultural activists, people from these cities that are very involved in their local scenes, whether it's in music or film or other types of cultural disciplines. So now, yes, I think it's time to introduce these people that are here in each one of their cities. They want to applaud, so let's do it. Yay! And this panel, I'm not going to be the only moderator this time. I thought that I should have a virtual moderator, and it's going to be Mr. Olof van Winden from The Hague. Hello, Olof.
Hello, everyone.
Olof actually is in Montenegro now. So, Olof is the director of a festival in The Hague called TodaysArt. Hello, Olof. How are you?
I'm doing very good. It's a big pleasure to join you virtually here on this day.
So let's do something. Before we go to each individual presentation to know more about the city, I think that we can make this exercise of saying hello to everybody and just clap our hands together for welcome. So from The Hague, as you, we have Steven van Lummel. Please applause for Steven. From Thessaloniki, Kosmas Effraimidis. Don't stop. And from Krakow, Leona, also known as Charlie. And from Barcelona, the wonderful Ikram Bouloum. So to start with, we have asked each participant to prepare a 5-minute presentation about what is hyperlocal in their cities, how is the cultural life in their cities. And we are going to start with Steven, and I will ask Olof, as my co-moderator, to introduce us to Steven.
Yes, I will give a short introduction. Steven prefers to create his own world with rounded corners, animals without a face, and people who don't talk. That's what reassures him. He graduated in 2003 from the Royal Art Academy, and he's using his hometown as the canvas. I know Steven for many years. We started around the same time, and back then he already had 1 tattoo. And this multiplied over the years. A very respectful, very colorful figure. I give the floor to Steven for his presentation.
All yours.
Thank you, Olof, and thank you, everyone, for inviting me today. First of all, I want to say that hyperlocal for me has been not just a choice, but actually something that was just something that grew on me. I was born in The Hague. I was raised in The Hague. I'm the 4th generation. I still live in the same neighborhood. My parents still live there. My sister still lives there. I was conceived in the other main. Their parents are still sleeping in it. My studio, my business, the skate park that I built, and the warehouse that we present experiments in are all in the perimeter of 1.5 kilometers. And I never left the city. Even still, when a lot of people left the city, because The Hague, I don't know if anybody ever visited The Hague, but The Hague is known for the Queen, the King now, the International Court, and and the sea. But for the rest, it's not a place for people to come to and enjoy culture or party in the first place. But this also supported a very large DIY scene, a do-it-yourself scene. So from music making to theater and all these disciplines, The Hague has a very strong underground culture. And 13 years ago, I started PIP, which is called Primus Inter Pares. And this is a slideshow with some pictures from the place. 2020, and we wanted to create a place where we wanted to. 13 years of struggling, and everything went. This should have been our best year, and everything collapsed on our shoulders. So now. Concentrating on the world, and in a sense, more inviting people over and doing collaborations with and exchanges with clubs all around the world. And now we only have our own backyard. And I don't know about any of you guys, but we just stopped completely with our entire program, and I see so many artists and people around me with a lot of different reactions. Some people are saying, I'm really liking this void, I really like the silence, and other people are literally going crazy. But then 2 weeks after, these groups change position. The people that felt comfortable are going crazy, and the crazy people feeling comfortable. So this is for me definitely a time of uncertainty and a time of change. And a time of, even though we're all in the same situation, globally, people became hypersensitive and hyper-selfish, I think. And even though this should be a situation where we are more collaborative and more thinking on a global scale. And so, to focus more on the hyper-local state of our city, it's a relatively small city. It's the third city of the Netherlands. We have exactly 2 nightclubs that are sort of presenting music that we like, electronic music. One is for 120 people, and they closed this weekend because of new rules that made by the government, and so they're going bankrupt. And they're hoping to open again next year, but I think it's going to be very hard. And there's my club, and we can host from 350 to 2,000 people, which we only do 3 times a year. And so, and there's quite a strong network. We have a night council. So you would think that during these times of pandemic, we would have a lot of consultation and strengthening each other and getting together. Not happening at all. I see so many places closing the door and only looking at their own staff and only looking at their own problems, and there's a big lack of a collective feeling. Also with myself, I feel really, I'm thinking, yeah, there's all these things that I left sort of in the last 10 or 20 years because of work. And now, so this hyper-local situation also really made me focus on family and a few friends. My world, I don't know about you, but my small in 1 week. I was supposed to be in Japan for the Olympics for 2 months, have an exchange with New York, and go to have an exchange with the Sónar and all these places around the world, and then everything stopped. And so it's these sort of curtains that closed, and it's night, but there are no stars, and then it becomes morning, and you could feel the sun, but you can't see it. And so this feeling of uncertainty is something that I've never felt before. I mean, I was raised in absolute peace after World War II, and this peace gave us all the time to really focus on individual identity, and now I think this is this year is even pushing this force into the exaggeration of the of the self even further. So I'm very curious now with The Hague how it's going to be for us next year if we finally, hopefully, can reopen. With all these labels, I mean, you would think that so many people are bringing out a lot more stuff and doing a lot more, but there's a lot of creativity inside the mind, inside the house, and so I really hope that something productive is going to come out.
Steven.
Yeah. Am I finished?
Yeah, we are running out of time unless there is something like super interesting that you need to show us.
No. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Steven. Don't go. We will ask you questions later on. And now I would like to introduce you to Ikram Bouloum. She is from Torelló, right? She's going to tell you about everything. She's a singer, she's a DJ, she's a researcher, and she will tell us more things, not only about herself, but about how she sees Barcelona, the city where she lives now, and what is her vision of hyperlocal. Ikram.
Hi, everyone. Thanks for having me in this table. I've decided to name my presentation Fighting for Rights and Protections because it's one of the themes that we have been acknowledging lately, and among all conversations is one of the most important ones. As an artist, DJ, researcher, and curator, I have seen that in the last 5 years in Barcelona, there has been a shift of energies. I've noticed an increase of feminine energy and more collective energy. New spaces and venues have appeared. This has brought in a growth of dialogues that have unfolded new narratives. As a result of all these changes, fresh parties and events have popped up, claiming new ethics and politics in these spaces. All this is translating into a change of perspectives and paradigms. What does this mean? That means that the local scene is no longer exclusively dominated by strong, white, masculine, binary energy. I have compiled the agents of the change in Barcelona, and they are Joko, Club Marabú, Abundance, El Pumarejo, Maricas Maricas, Voodoo Club, Bol, Els Mainline, Diverso Club, Nalgas, Iberian Juke, Dubla.es, Sunkusi, Miss Digest, Spanish Mafia, Low-Key Moves, Zen 55, Canela en Surco, Lansda, Watt, Princedom, Sting Sting, Medcoast Radio, Cabaret Internet, Disco Duro Gang, Maqueo Top, Magia Roja, Discos Paradiso, Meteoro, Hangar, Ameba, Rizoma, Rizoma, La Cangri, Babylon, Top Manta, El Bloque, Fridonia, La Infinita, Fog, Malnascuts, Loud, Upload, Loom, Offline Meeting Point, Aizkorra, TKM Room, and many more. All these entities have generated a change in the scene and have enriched the everyday cultural offer. That it has also provided the space for talent, art, and new expressions to flourish. They have changed how we relate and appreciate the local scene. They have created an effective network that overlooks purely economic interests. They have developed their particular ethics and politics to take care of the individuals and spaces that are part of this network. They have provided an alternative to the institutional activities. They have opened a path to see such acts that would have only been possible in big festivals or foreign venues. Even when working on the scarce economic means, there has been a strong vocation and militance from the human side of these projects to visualize an artistic scene that, on the contrary, would have been remained on the margin. They have acknowledged the public of the importance of valuing the cultural scene, as they also play an important role in this network, not only as mere spectators. In the last months, I was asking myself, where are we now? in the middle of a health crisis that makes interrelation between the citizens and the public space uncertain. A large group of venues remain closed. What does this mean? The lack of economic means will endanger the most vulnerable venues, projects, collectives, and artists. They are no longer able to stay afloat, and they will end up dissolving. What are the effects? The seizure of the cultural life and the many networks that sustain a large part of the city's framework. As a result, the city is changing again and is questioning how artists are going to put their work forward. And this leads to change towards a new paradigm. What does this mean? At least, uncertainty. What must we do? Place art in the center of matters and grant it with the value that it deserves. Only by doing this, it will be possible to take care of all the aspects and humans that take part in action. Spectators, artists, promoters, bookers, managers, technicians, musicians, and anyone involved in making cultural possible. On the other hand, in parallel, a technological advance is happening that is changing how we are relate to live events. This technological advance has already been happening in other aspects of our life, like in social media, government control over individuals, etc. And as a result, everyone will be more mediated by the technological interfaces. In the last months, when the pandemic starts, I cease all my activities. So I start to ask for myself a lot of questions, no? Thinking about Barcelona, thinking about the network of Barcelona, thinking about my friends, my artists, people I'm working with, and even I have like, I don't know how to say it, like esperanzas?
Hopes.
Hopes. I have hopes, like in the future. I think that we are like in a really hard moment. We are passing a really hard moment, yeah.
Okay, thank you very much, Ikram. That was lovely. That's a lovely overview of how the scene of Barcelona is viewed by one Barcelona actor, Ikram Bouloum. Let's move on now to Thessaloniki, which is a city in Greece. One of our partner festivals, Reworks, should be happening in these dates, just like us. It's going to be in a couple of weeks, if I can recall. And we are going to talk with Kosmas Effraimidis, who has one of the only 2 record shops in Thessaloniki, Stereodisc, and he's been like the musical prescriptor of the city for many, many years. Kosmas, how are you?
Thank you for having me here. I'm very fine. And here I'm to present my point of view about the city and what the hyperlocal thing is for here.
Sure.
I was not born here. I was born in Germany many years ago, and this was a decision to stay in the city and live. And what attracted me when I came here, and I was a small child, was record stores and music. And this kept on, in all my life as a place. So music is the mean that I encounter people. All my life has been music, either in the store now, the last 36 years, or in the radio stations that I made like programs, or in the theaters that I curated music for. So this is a hard moment for everything in this city. This is a beautiful city. This is a vibrant, young city. The biggest university in Greece with so many young people, like a breeding ground for so many things. We have the film festival, documentary film festival, and I can name very many things that happen here in my city that I love. Also the festivals, like the Reworks in a few weeks, and many young people attended. For me, being in music and dealing with it is like my way of life. And this is what I meet, all these young musicians, all the people that invest in this city musically. And there have been many, many things the last 5 years that happen in this city, like organizations or like few people collectives that they start from let's say, opening a bar, and then they become like art institutions, like they become record labels, they become exhibition for art, for painters, for everybody. And I'm very happy to be in this conversation with with these people from the other cities. And the city that I less know is Krakow, and I will wait for I haven't been there. I've been to Barcelona, to the Hague, and I love these cities. I love also my city, and I think that in this time, still people struggle to be honest and not selfish. And I don't know if they succeed, but the state doesn't help everything. It doesn't help anyone. It's like we're totally lost in the sea. It feels like that for me. And I will be ready to answer any questions that will develop in the conversation.
Thank you very much, Kosmas. And let's move on to Krakow, which is known in the whole wide world for its festival Unsound, which is also a partner festival of We Are Europe. And when we ask Unsound's organizers to recommend us, like introduce us to someone who knows really well how is the hyperlocal scene in Krakow, they introduced us to Leona Jacewska. She's a composer, producer, DJ. She is known by her artistic name, Charlie, and she's now in Berlin. Hello, Leona.
Hello, Antonia.
How are you?
Thank you for the introduction. So, as you already mentioned, everyone knows Krakow by its festival, Unsound, and that's also how I got to know Krakow very well, because I, like Kosmas, was not born in Krakow. I was born in Berlin. And I moved 10 years ago to Krakow for university to study. And I heard so much about it, about the art, about the jazz scene, Unsound, independent film festivals. But then actually when the festivals are over, the city is completely different, and the audience is very different, and it's much smaller. So if you're not local, you're not really exposed to the little events. It's very difficult to find it, and it took me also a while to find the right things for me. A lot of DIY spaces that cannot function during the whole year because of its smaller audience, but they do exhibitions, film screenings, little radio stations, just on particular events, particular occasions. And that's how also I work with, we have a project space where we do music events and exhibitions, and it's only open for maybe once every month, or twice a month, or once every 2 months. So I think the reason why it works this way, except for a smaller audience, is also that artists are used to travel around, and curators are not always present here to show everything. So a good example is a Krakow gallery weekend called Krakers. It's not a real gallery weekend because there are no commercial galleries in Krakow, but there are nearly 100 places that are temporarily transformed to a gallery, like a garage or something. So if you ask me, Leona, I'm coming to Krakow, what can you recommend? I cannot answer with club venues that are famous. I would have to ask you back, okay, when are you coming? And then I would have to see what is available that weekend, what is open, not that you go and knock the door somewhere and no one opens. But I think that is also what is beautiful and what defines Krakow, because it's very untouched, and it gives everyone the opportunity to create something and to be part of it and like me, I'm not from there, but I can, from music through art, I can organize what interests me, and yeah, everyone is contributing to that. I find that very beautiful. Another thing is what right now we maybe less people are traveling. We are more together in one city, so we have to fight with the political situation in our country. So there are a lot of LGBT activists with screenings, parties, workshops that are educating and raising consciousness about the current happenings. I have time. Yeah, but it's also not throughout the whole year. We have little venues that are opened since over 10 years, bars like Święta Krowa, Alchemia, or Piękny Pies. And they have a capacity of 50 to 120 people. So they are still running, and it has not changed. But it's also, I think, it also shows that right now you could have the illusion that maybe we are just in between festivals. There's no bigger festival happening, so we have our little DIY events, the little bars that are still the same because we are still allowed to have events until 100 people. Yeah, so if you ever decide to come to Krakow, let me know so we can see what is going on, or we organize something especially for your coming.
Thank you very much. So I'm going to give it over to Olof to make the first question and have a conversation about what's going on in our cities.
Yeah. Actually, I see a lot of similarities, I think, between The Hague and Krakow. It depends really when are you coming, and you won't find it, but you have to knock on some doors, you have to know some people. I think there's also a similarity between all four of our cities. We're not capital cities. With all respect, Barcelona is maybe the capital of sorry?
Catalonia.
I thought someone was talking in between. Yeah, Barcelona is the capital of Catalonia, but we are not the capital cities. We are the second or the third city. And this might have an impact on the scenes as well. I hear that Thessaloniki has a very vibrant scene. I think I'm very aware that Barcelona has also a vibrant scene. This is probably not the case in the other two cities. When we go back to the first presentation, The Hague, Steven said it already, a city of peace and justice. The criminal court is there, OPCW for nuclear weapons, the headquarters of Shell, the king, the government, and a very lousy football club. To me personally, a city without a vision or where there's not a lot of innovation. The Hague is not particularly known for being a creative or a cool city. And yet there is a very strong underground music scene. There is famous labels like Bunker Records. There is a famous art academy with a faculty for art and science and interactive media design. Steven, how can you explain that there is so much quality whereas and it's so not visible?
I think one of the things is that if there's nothing, people start to create something for themselves. That's the first. The second is irritation and lack of self-confidence is a good motor for creation. And then, I mean, we have been so insecure as a city. As you said, our soccer team is lousy. We have a beautiful beach, but I mean, nobody really ever visits it. And so I think this, a lot of things are being organized by super nice, I mean, Intergalactic FM is one of the first online radio stations run by IF. And I mean, he organized events always with the thought that nobody would show up.
I think I was also seeing lots of similarities when I was listening to you, especially when Ikram was talking about Barcelona and also Leona, that there is a lot of DIY of do-it-yourself, that if there is something that you want so strongly do and show to the world, you just do it yourself. How important is DIY, Ikram?
I think that it's important in the way that there is, for me, like in my personal view, there is no many structures that provide space for all the proposals that collectives and artists are giving away. So trying to make your party, or trying to make your venue, or trying to, to propose your thing is to have like the control about how you are doing the thing, no? How you are taking care for the space, how you are taking care for the people, how you are trying to take care for your artists, no? I think this thing of the do-it-yourself is, having the consciousness about how we have to work, the ethics, the politics, no? Yeah, because there is no enough space in the institution, so we have like to search another alternatives.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And Leona, how about this DIY culture in Krakow? How important is it?
One of the main reasons why we have such a culture in art, with galleries, is because a lot of artists, curators, they are traveling. You cannot commit as an artist to be an open institution every day, 5 days a week. So this way, if you have just certain events, you can limit it to once a month, for example. And if you have a smaller audience, it's also easy because everyone will wait for that one day and gather, and you don't have an empty gallery for 1 week. And I think also that if you have a DIY, you usually have another stable job where you have stable income, and this is just your passion, and then you do it for the people out of, like, from your heart, because you want to show them something. You don't want to earn money with that, and then they appreciate, and you have a stronger community. You have a base of meetings, and I think that's the beauty of it.
So what I hear is that actually the struggle or the harshness of the city is pushing the creativity. Kosmas, in Thessaloniki, actually two questions. First is how do you relate to Athens, where I think a lot is happening? And second, this is not the first crisis that is coming over Greece. There was a huge economic crisis a couple of years ago. How does this affect you, the city, and the players?
So about the second question is they said that this situation with the COVID is the final blow, because we've been like hit so hard the last 10 years. So it's we were like coming up. It was hope. After like speaking personally for me, the store was closed for 3 months. Everything was like closed. We didn't have not a cinema to go, not a club to visit. We were like inside our house. And then everything opened for the Greek holidays, for this magical thing. So everybody came, and then now everybody's closing themselves at home again. So this is a funny, I can speak about it, and we live it, but it's like a dream. I still sometimes don't want to believe that after all this, and about Athens, there's always been like a small fight between Thessaloniki and Athens, like the second big city and the capital of Greece. Everything happens there, and Athens has like the money, the capital, has like organizations like Niarchos Institution, or like that they support art, and you can find so many things to see in Athens. But still, people who do it without state care, without money, like Reworks Festival, or like people that make urban picnics in ancient places that we don't see because we're not allowed to go during the year, and they open for 4 days and people have fun. Young people play music or they screen movies. So this is totally up to the people, not to the state here. We are helpless from the state. So people are individuals, small collectives, they provide culture and art here in Thessaloniki.
We have a question from the audience that I think that each of you can answer, but let's make it quick because we only have 5 minutes left, so maybe we will be able to answer more questions or to have some more discussion. And the question is by Anonymous, which is by far my favorite user. What can we do from our cities to help the cultural scene? Leona, what can we do in our cities?
Well, I think what can be done and what we have also done in Krakow is, for example, to let other like little bars and clubs still keep going. As artists, we all gave something, a piece of art from us that they could sell to the whole community and raise money to pay fixed costs like a track, a compilation of music.
What can we do to help our cities?
We should be present as long as we are allowed to be present, to be out, to be like sharing everything. Because if we don't share, we don't go out, we don't communicate things, things will be dead without us.
Steven,
Cities need to...
Steven, what can we do to help our cities?
I agree with both. Support local, think local, and just take care of yourself and your surroundings, and try to find small solutions. I mean, all these small steps can lead to bigger solutions.
Ikram?
Yeah, I think like them, and I think that one thing that we can do is like donate. Like everything's still closed, so maybe like it's the time to buy music, donate, buy T-shirts. I mean, everything.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah,
Like stuff like
definitely.
that. I mean,
Actually, buying music, I think buying downloads is something that's incredibly affordable. And, you know, to help the producer or the band next door buying some album, EP, sometimes it's just $5 or $3. And it might seem like too little, but actually it's a lot.
yeah, it's a lot. I mean, Bandcamp, once a month, they like, you can buy the music like for free taxes. So everything is going to the artist, and I don't know, I mean, it's 10 euros could be a lot. I mean, yeah.
Yes, it
And
helps.
it's not sorry, Kosmas?
We should all support music because it's the cheaper art to buy.
Yeah.
It is.
And it's not just the income, but it's also the confidence that it's giving the artist. Like, yes.
That you're sharing that
Yeah.
you share it with.
Absolutely.
Yeah, there is another question that I'm not sure if it can be answered like very, very quick, but maybe this one is for Olof. Even though you're the moderator, I think you're the one to answer this. Is how do you think will future, is also by Anonymous, how do you think will future personal technologies shape the concert or music festival experience?
Yeah.
Well, you know, there is a lot of development.
Good luck.
Good luck.
But we also get a bit bored of seeing all these recordings and the online streams. At the same time, we have a partner in Kathmandu, and he told me the other day that he was so happy that all these festivals are now going hybrid because suddenly all this content is becoming available. And then I realized, like, okay, we have to stay connected. We have to use these technologies. But I think we have to go a step further also. You know, the thing with organizing events, it's not just the show, it's not the performance, it's also the meeting. Like, I'm sure that after this year, there will be a lot of amazing recordings from all these hybrid festivals. But it's almost like having a Netflix account. You just look at it at your so the live element is really, really hard to bring into this field, whereas I think there is interactivity possible also with these new technologies, how to interact even digitally. I mean, we are now having this panel in 4 or 5 corners of Europe. But yeah, people will have to get used to it, that it's going to be more screen-based, and I hope that at some point it will pass. Yesterday, the Prime Minister of the Netherlands made a third announcement that this is the second wave, and it's exactly the clubs and this target group of young people that is now targeted as the problem. And it's very, very bad, I think. Technology is connecting us already or at least internet is connecting us for almost 30 years. We can communicate 7 days a week, 24 hours a day globally. Let's push the possibilities on there. Let's push the interaction and let's at least continue to communicate. And maybe this is against the topic of this panel itself. We should not become too hyper-local. For me personally, it's very important. I think culture is building bridges. Even if it's very difficult, our responsibility to continue to build these bridges.
We are running out of time, and all I want to say about technology is that it has provided us with the opportunity today to have this conversation, even though we are all in our homes, in our countries, or in other countries. So I want to thank you all. I want to thank Olof from The Hague, but now he is in Montenegro. Thank you very much, Olof, for participating and for your support. I want to also say thank you to Leona, who is from Germany, but she lives in Krakow and now is in Berlin. And Kosmas, who was born in Germany, but now he lives in Thessaloniki. And this is very important, Steven, it's like the 4th generation of the Hague, of a family from The Hague, so good for you. And Ikram, thank you very much. Please, for Ikram. She's Barcelona. She's Barcelona, so here was this experiment. This experiment to be all connected for this activity for the We Are Europe network. So we are still live transmitting from the Center for Contemporary Culture in Barcelona. This is Sónar+D. We still have 1 panel left, if I can recall, and a handful of live shows. Don't go anywhere.